So, hello, welcome to, fingers crossed, an actual review of Drag Race Down Under. Looking out the window, there's no rain, there's no bad weather, it looks a bit bright out. The garage roof, fingers crossed, hasn't moved since last week.
It is currently as fucked as it is going to get fucked.
Yes, so hopefully that's not going to interrupt us this time. We're kind of just going to move straight into the current episode because there's lots to say about it and we'll be here all night. Plus, Kylie, oh my God. They've hit us with the Kylie already. Is Tom frozen? No, you're still there. Okay.
He was.
You were. I genuinely thought we'd lost you. I was like, oh shit, here we go. Kylie and Danny, double Minogue. What I thought was interesting was Danny has the time to turn up on video. Kylie doesn't, because Kylie is far too important to busy.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a much bigger Kylie fan. I like Danny, but I'm a much bigger Kylie fan. But I think this bodes well for the fact that we might get some sort of Priscilla-related stuff later down the line if they're playing into the Australia stuff. And I just think that's, I mean, you know, Priscilla. If you've not seen The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the movie, what is wrong with you? If you haven't seen it on stage, that's fair enough because it's a little harder to catch. But both immense. I've seen it on stage like 3 times. I know the words to the film. Like I can quote along with all the like major characters. So I think if they don't play into that somewhere, it's going to be a massively missed opportunity. But we had your favourite Snatch game, which was, I mean, I know they do it normally with like 8 or 9, and that's the number of contestants they had. And it did feel super early to be doing Snatch game. I think Snatch game, you've got to know the queens a bit more to really pick up where they completely fall apart. As a few of them did, all of them did. But
2 of them were good.
2 of them, to be fair, were all right. But I don't know. It just felt Snatch game this early felt weird to me. It was just not quite. I don't know. I wasn't ready for it.
I mean, I suppose they have to do it now rather than later because they just won't have as many contestants.
Yeah. Doing it with 3 would be shit. Let's be honest. So do you know what I mean? So there is that side of it to consider. But I would have thought doing it next week with 8 would have worked for me. But it's interesting. Now, my friend Matt, who often comments on our videos for Sci-Fi and for Drag Race, because he watches both, and he pointed out something really interesting, which is when they come into the workroom, rather than going, as we're looking at it, right, they go left, because it's down under and everything's backwards down there. Like when you pull the plug, the water swirls the other way in the sink. I think he's massively overthought it, and it's a really tiny workroom. But it's an interesting idea. If it is intentional, it's bloody clever. I think Tom's frozen again.
I don't know if I am. I don't know.
Oh, you're back.
Can we just point to like Tom's teacher?
I don't actually think that Rue is actually in.
You don't think Rue's in Australia?
No, because when you look at like the shot, like when you look at the shots, it doesn't look like he's actually in the room with them.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to look out for this now. I know Michelle definitely went
because as well, you know. I'm sorry.
No, carry on.
It's like there's a delay. I don't know what it is. But it's...
like Eurovision.
Hello? But yeah, I don't think she's actually there. Yeah. When you see the shot of the girls listening in on the conversation, you can't hear Rue in the background either. You can only hear the queen that's having like a little talk with Rue.
So is there no shot where you see her with them at all?
There is, but it looks really off.
Right, like they've green
screened.
I'm going to have to rewatch it now.
Yeah.
I have to rewatch it and see if I can figure this out. That would be hilarious if Rue didn't go to Australia. That's why it was the whole thing in the first week of Rue not being in drag on the panel, because she was actually trying to get out of the country and wasn't allowed. So they had like a couple of days to come up with a plan B, and it was like we'll film separately.
But even on Snatch Game, you don't see Rue, Michelle, and Reese all in the same shot as the queens. It's always separate. So I don't even think Michelle's in the country either.
Oh my God! Didn't she post on Instagram though about being there and being at the airport and stuff?
Well, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Easy to fake, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really interested with this I'm far more interested in this than anything I saw in the episode now. But that's probably a bit harsh. No, I'm right. But it was okay. I think we need to properly like dissect this now, week on week, and we should look out for evidence that Rue is not there. And that should be more of our running theme rather than even giving a shit about the runway, because we don't really. It's not we don't care. I think we're just a bit drag raced out to a degree, but let's just have a little chat about one by one each queen, their snatch and and their runway. So first off, now I'm really not getting the hang of these names yet. That's the other thing with snatch games. I don't know their name. I don't know their actual names. To then work out who they're trying to be. I think you've got to know who they are to then know how good they are at being someone else. To know, it's that's where it fell down. Now I'm thinking, I said it out loud. That's where it fell down for me. So there was Anita Wiglet. Now, Anita Wiglet's the one who, to me, is constantly gurning and surprised. Like,
she's always got a smile. Like she's always like, her teeth are always, both sets of teeth are showing, and I'm like,
yeah.
Tone it down.
Yeah. Do you know? It's probably not your generation, Tom, so you might not know it. But there was an Australian comedian who did a lot with the gay crowd in the 90s called Bob Down. Bob Down was always like the big comedy facial expressions. And Anita just reminds me of Bob Down, but where Bob was a character that the actor, I can't remember his actual name, did on stage, that appears to be Anita in real life. She is constantly doing the Bob Down faces. Bob Down, like, I think went out on Lily Savage for a while, but, or rather, whoever plays Bob Down went out with Paul O'Grady. You get the idea. But that's what I just see constantly. It's Bob Down's stage act. But that appears to be Anita's default state.
I mean, even the sad moment was a bit like, okay, you've basically reached normal levels of happy for the rest of the cast. I mean, you know, by Anita's standards, my God, yes, she was basically, you know, sackcloth and ashes, tearing at fucking fabric and wailing. But well, yeah. We think major cokehead.
And there might be a little bit of drugs going on. Not wishing to cast aspersions, Anita, love, but you also do run a gay club. Kind of goes hand in hand. So anyway, her queen, however, I adored. One of the two I really liked, especially the Prince Andrew joke. Which, fucking hell. That's some balls to come out with that and know it's going to be broadcast around the world. If you know what I mean.
It wasn't just the Prince Andrew joke, though. There's the other one that you absolutely.
Oh, what one have I forgotten?
The seatbelt.
Oh, the seatbelt.
Secret to a long life.
Don't piss me off and wear a seatbelt. So that's my level of humour, though. Wrong. Just wrong. Kids, don't copy me. I'm a bad influence.
But I think, to be fair, for me though, that the only reason that worked, it's basically because it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a particularly good Queen Elizabeth II.
No.
I mean, yes, she got the hat, but like the makeup was, you know, I didn't look at it and think that's Elizabeth.
Yeah, but it was the same for me. The same style.
Let me finish. Basically, the reason it worked, it was that level of, oh my God, I can't believe she's just said that humor. It's the shock humor, which is what basically nailed it. It's similar actually to what the other standout of Snatch Game was, which we'll come to in a bit. So yeah, I think it's that. Yeah, it could have been like Carolina Hearn as Sister Mary Immaculate, dressed as a nun, coming out with some kind of like absolutely filthy like sexual innuendo joke. It's not necessarily the joke itself is amazingly funny. It's because it's that character coming out with it, and I think that's what worked for me, was especially the seatbelt one, because oh my god,
Too soon.
yeah.
As long as anyone's alive when Diana was alive, it'll be too soon.
Never too soon. Never too soon.
I've got a funny story from that actual day, but I'll leave that. It's not relevant for here. But
When has that ever stopped us?
it's true. But this will go on forever. So no, the thing for me was,
when has that ever stopped us?
the Queen makeup and not looking quite like the Queen was very much in the same vein as when Ben de la Creme did Maggie Smith's character from Downton Abbey, and looked and sounded nothing like her, but just brought this character out. And if I remember right, didn't Dalo win that as well? I want to say Dalo won that challenge.
I really can't remember.
But if she didn't win it, she certainly didn't get a read for it. So you know what I mean? But to me, it was the same kind of thing. So yes, you wouldn't have seen her toddling around the stage and gone, "Oh, you're doing Queen Elizabeth then." You wouldn't necessarily have got that, apart from, like Paul said, the hat was a bang on Liz hat. But yeah, it was just the characterization was solid throughout the Snatch game to the character she'd created. How did you find this one, Tom?
I think the Queen is, because obviously when we had the first UK, first UK episodes, it was like Queen this, Queen that, Queen all, But I don't know. It's not really Aussie like comedy, is it? Like the Queen is more British rather than
Yeah. Well, she's their queen too, isn't it? She's Queen of the Commonwealth. But I think the other thing is as kind of part of the Commonwealth, so an extension of our culture. Is that, I don't know, would that be the right way to kind of think about it? In much way the same as you'd say the same about perhaps America. I think like America's relationship with the royal family and Australia's relationship with the royal family is going to be very different to ours. It was something a friend of mine said. We were talking recently, and he'd watched, I have no idea why, but he'd watched like a French news channel or something. Doesn't speak a word of bloody French, but he'd watched this French news channel with like some sort of subtitle on or something. And there'd been all this stuff about the royal family, about rights they have, like the Queen's rights in Parliament, and like she can veto 5 things a year, or just she can go 5 things and a year and no. I can't remember what the actual rule is. There's a rule, and he had no idea this existed. He was like, because we don't get told about that, because we make it look like, oh, she's lovely and she doesn't interfere and and I'm like, no, she can. She's got a certain amount of aces she can play for sure. But Mark knew nothing about this, and he was like, it's interesting that it just seemed to be mentioned in this French news like it was nothing, like it was, because of course the Queen could do this. And Mark was like, can she? And, I just thought it was interesting. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Well, it's technically yes, she can, because she is the head of the British government. The moment she does, however, it's a constitutional crisis. So it's basically yes, she can, but she never will.
Is it like this?
Yeah. So it's like when they were banging on all about whatever other stuff was going on. It's just like, oh, the Queen will step in. The Queen, the Queen can basically override this, blah 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 blah. And it's like, officially, yes, she can, but she absolutely wouldn't, because, as I say, it would basically it would destroy the royal family as an institution, because it'd be a massive uprising or uproar. And I say, yeah, it would trigger it, because it's that whole thing of the whole point of having the checks and balances is the check is there. The balance being that she'll never, ever actually use that power, because it would destroy the monarchy.
And it would make a wonderful musical.
It would. And to go back to your question, yes, she did win Snatch Game.
Oh, there you go. So Dayla did win Snatch Game with the really not very like Maggie Smith. which is a whole other thing that I'll come to later in the program. Anita's runway, I've written down Siren Showgirl.
Yeah, I liked it.
I can vaguely remember it.
The wig going off like
Is that the one that was the red to one side?
Well, the black hair to one side.
Then I'm thinking of someone completely different.
The red would have been
Someone else.
yeah,
Anyway.
who will come to you later.
So I've got no real comment because I've just written down Siren Showgirl and I cannot remember.
She reminded me a bit of
I know. Do you know when Joe Black did the Windswept?
Yeah,
It's basically that, like
Same.
with the hair, like
Yeah.
she was basically supposed to be underwater, but
Well, funny, if you type in Anita, the first thing that comes up is Anita Wiglet.
Not Anita Dobson. How the mighty have fallen.
What would it be? Episode 2 runway. What did you think, Tom, while I'm looking it up to remind myself? Oh, that,
Yes.
I found it.
Also looks a bit bloody
It looks like Michelle Visage in this picture.
no. We were literally just
Angela,
no,
Adore Delano.
no.
Of what? Which season? Which country?
Yeah.
Bianca.
Joe Black, no.
Jesus, I can't believe my mind went blank.
I can kind of see it.
The Gurn as well.
Yeah, and it's there again, isn't it? There's that face immediately.
It's also that
First picture comes up on my
eyeshadow.
Google search. What did you think of this one, Tom?
Meh. The hair didn't match the outfit. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. She tried to do a vibe, but it didn't
It's not really.
what's that word? Like
It didn't coalesce.
cooperate or
It wasn't cohesive.
Yeah.
Didn't coincide.
That's the one. Cohesive.
Yeah.
It wasn't cohesive.
I've just Googled down under episode 2 runway and hope that maybe I get some better pictures. Then next on my list, I've got Coco Jumbo, who did Lizzo.
Who apparently didn't do Lizzo, judging by the feedback.
Now, I think, okay, so here's the tea, right? I was a massive fan of Lizzo before everyone else bought her records. Because I can't take a massive amount of credit for it. Someone introduced me to Good as Hell way before Juice and way before Good as Hell then came back out. And I actually pitched it to a salon in a chain of salons in North Wales. And it was the cheapest bit of famous music I'd ever had a quote on in 15 years in the radio industry. And I was like, bite their hand off. This track is going to blow up. They were like, oh, we don't know if we want to be all like ghetto. And I was like, love, buy this track. Seriously. Everything about me is telling me, buy this track. They didn't buy it. You can't get it now. I mean, it's on lots of adverts, but I know how much they're paying for it. And some little chain of salons of hairdressers in North Wales ain't going to afford it. I'll tell you that for nothing. But if you see, have you ever seen Lizzo like at an awards ceremony, or they can't rein her in an interview? She's absolutely bastard outrageous and hilarious and inappropriate. You couldn't put her on like a children's show because she'd C-bomb or F-bomb or something. You'd be better off having me on a children's show. And let's face it, that's not a good idea either. And yet we do panto. I don't know. But Lizzo is outrageous and takes over everything she does. She's the only woman I know who's made James Corden bloody shut up. And then to just sit there in a cheerleader outfit and get one song reference in. Oh, come on.
It was a Sailor Moon outfit.
Was it really? I don't know Sailor Moon very well. I know of it, but I don't know it. Well,
I don't understand. Yeah, but I don't understand why she sort of thought of Sailor Moon with Lizzo, because I don't think of that either.
No, when I think of Lizzo, I mean the great thing about Lizzo is she's just an ambassador for everything she is. So she's an ambassador for big black girls, and she will go on stage in a skin tight catsuit and not care, and bloody right to. A great one to watch actually is her Glastonbury set from about it was either 2 or 3 years ago. And you watch how she owns that stage, and she stomps around with all the action. She's absolutely fucking. She's a top-notch performer. She really is. But there was absolutely zero about this. And you know, Rue warned her and said, "Don't do your idols because you're." And I think it is you're too afraid to. You know, we saw it with Morgan McMichael's doing Pink. We've seen it with anyone who ever tries and does Beyonce. They just get too reverent about it. You've got to take all of their foibles and blow them up.
The only one who didn't actually was Gottmik with Paris.
Yeah, but Gottmik's absolutely wonderful and should never, ever, ever, ever have come third. But
and they're best friends anyway.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think you know, you in the final, you had that wonderful video from Paris where she clearly loved exactly what Gottmik did to her, which I thought was one, you know, and a big plus for Paris apart from anything else, because fuck me, who is she in the last 15 years? Nobody. But you know, she's not a Kardashian. Off you fuck. So it's a bit, but yeah, just to anyone, if I was going to go on and do Madonna or Kylie, I couldn't do Kylie. Kylie's too nice. I wouldn't know what to even do to make Kylie funny. I don't think you could, because she's just gorgeous about everything she does.
I think you have to go the other way and just basically make her out to be the absolute backstabbing evil bitch behind the scenes that she isn't.
We know of.
Yeah.
We love you, Kylie. You're not. I know you're not. I know you never could be. Danny, however, you'll never be your sister. Just saying, love. I do love some of your records. And I do love one of your ex-husbands. I mean, like, I really love one of your ex-husbands. So, hi. So, where was I saying? Yeah, so I could do Madonna. I know exactly what to pick apart. I'm such a Madonna fan. Especially now Madonna's gone completely batshit crazy, which I love about her. But fuck me, she's lost the plot. I know exactly where to do Madonna these days. Because who did Madonna? In Manila Luzon did Madonna and got the look spot on, but none of Madonna's characteristics were there. Yeah. So yeah, if you're gonna do someone, don't be reverent about it. Go for it. And then I've written for the thing, black frock, squid hair. Oh, she had like a really nice Ursula, is the way I can describe it. So she looked like Ursula, but it was classy Ursula costume.
Yeah, the hair kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it as an outfit. I thought it was too classy to be sickening. Because I mean, sickening was the nice play on words there, by the way. I came up with that one. But yeah, it was, for me, it was just it was gorgeous, but it was too perfect. Sickening's got to be a bit on the edge. What did you think of this one, Tom?
I think she could have gone Ursula. She obviously it would have been like costume-esque, but if she just done the purple skin and then I don't know, stuck like barnacles to her face or something, then you know, could have been something special.
Just needed an edge rather than being I mean, to be fair, she could have gone to like my work's Christmas party in that outfit and no one would have had money. No one would have gone, oh, that's drag or it's over the top or whatever, you know. So while it was gorgeous, just fell short for me. Then next I've got ketamine, which if you say it in English, how she spells it, it naturally sounds like ketamine in Australian. It's quite uncanny. It's almost like that's the joke. Who did Dr. Seuss? I'm still quite baffled by this.
I don't understand it.
I don't get why. Was Dr. Seuss Australian? Should we look this up? I remember thinking at the time, and then my phone wasn't to hand, so I didn't look.
I've never seen a picture of Dr. Seuss ever in my life. I don't even know who he is.
Okay, no, I've just seen a picture of Dr. Seuss. I can get that to.
Oh yeah, it's kind of close, isn't it?
Yeah, so Dr. Seuss wrote like The Cat in the Hat and Green Eggs and Ham and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know that much, but I just didn't know like who he was as a person.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know anything about actual Dr. Seuss apart from books. An American children's author. No, from California. Nothing to do with Australia whatsoever. So why the hell do you think she did Dr. Seuss just so that she could do the whole rhyming thing with her answers, as if that would be clever enough?
But it wasn't.
Exactly. But is that what she thought?
Probably. I don't see him as a pop icon either. Like, so like a, I don't know, like he's not in the gay scene. He's not known as a gay icon or LGBT icon. So
No,
there's no reason for him to be there.
Real off the wall. I think the interesting the thing. Okay, so if for any reason I was hung up on Dr. Seuss, which I'm clearly not, because that would be a bit weird, even from my standards. But if I could understand you going as the one of his iconic characters, go as the Lorax, go as the Cat in the Hat, go as like do something where you're Thing 1 and Thing 2. I think there's mileage in that, because what you've also got to consider is I know like there's a certain amount of a Rue, Michelle, if you're going to go down under and do a TV show, research down under culture, because you can't expect them to just do shit you're going to know. You need to know your shit, which I think was something I found the week before when a couple of girls got read for their outfit, not necessarily speaking about where they're from. And I'm a bit like, well, no, judges, if you don't know this particular thing about this Australian town, that's kind of on you. You've gone there to a degree. I think they were wrong to give that read on a couple of occasions. But again, from a drag artist, from a contestant's point of view, I don't think I would be happy. Take a risk. We know risks can be up there or down there. That's the thing. But safe is never good, right? So the risk is always worth taking with Drag Race. But I don't think you should take that risk to the degree of going, well, Rue and Michelle are probably not going to know anything about this guy. But they would know his work. So do his work. You know what I mean? Back to the Queen and Maggie Smith and whatever else, weren't nailing the look or the character, but they were doing jokes that would make the judges laugh, and that's how they did well. To me, that's the key. You particularly, Snatch Game in itself, the whole point, and Rue says it time in, time out in that workroom is, well, how are you going to make us laugh with that? Your job here is to make us laugh. He says it over and over and over. And if I guess that would have been the thought process. It was I'm going to pre-write all these weird little riddles that I can use, or perhaps she's particularly good at coming up with rhymes at short notice. It was, it's something I can do reasonably well. And used to me write radio script. He knows what I'm talking about. So it's so maybe that's where she thought, oh, this is my strength. I do Dr. Seuss because I can just write these funny little rhymes. Great. If that was the risk,
you've literally frozen.
Oh,
if it's me or you.
I don't know.
You literally, you were just stuck in like one face for at least a minute.
You're being quiet. So yeah, what I'm saying is if your risk is trying to write poems because that's what you're good at, so you think poems Dr. Seuss, I can understand that risk slightly more than going for a weird ass icon that no one knows anything about but knows their work.
What was the second character? Because it was Dr. Seuss, or it was something else, wasn't it?
It was something that was more mainstream. I remember that.
It was something that I remember when they said both of them, thinking they'll do that and not Dr. Seuss then. Oops.
It wasn't Kath, was it? Of Kath and Kim?
I think it was.
Because one of them had that option.
I think one of them did, yeah. Because yes, somebody said it, because we said about, well, you better do it better than Taste.
Yeah. Which,
being Australian, you would totally would. I've got more to say about the whole Kath and Kim thing later on, but we'll come to that. And then Runway, I've put Ursula-ish Sea Witch. I need to make better notes. I've got no idea what that one is.
Wasn't it like, it was all purple, and it did look like Ursula, but it was nothing like Ursula. It had like these chemical things on the skirt, and I was like,
well, it obviously didn't stand out enough for me because I can't remember it. I know it's 2 days. Hang on 2 seconds. Will you stop it? Sorry, we've got cats fighting under a blanket. We've got a throw over our sofa, and they get behind it and then fight, and you can just see this little lump going, blah, 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 blah. Shadow! He's going to sort out. Basically, one of them's taken to bullying the other one. And he's an absolute little shit. So next up, I've got Karen from Finance, who still doesn't appear to have been sherry-pied out of the show. They're obviously not going to.
I've been told it's not just Karen from Finance, it's another person there as well. Obviously, it's a different time, but they've got a collection of gollywogs. And they've got a tattoo of a gollywog as well, which I still haven't seen.
No, that's Karen from Finance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Karen.
Yeah. I think there's like 3 other queens that have done some messed up stuff.
I don't know. So, I mean, I've not researched this in any great length. So in Australia, is the golly not as frowned upon as we would here? Is it not seen as negative as we would see it, perhaps? Culturally, have they just not made that leap?
I think there's, having been to Australia, having dated someone who was from Australia for a while, blah, blah, blah. There was always a running joke back in the day that Australia was about 5-10 years behind the rest of the Western world, like culturally, socially, fashion-wise, music-wise, blah, 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 blah. I think that's doing it a disservice, in all fairness, because I think, like most places, you go to like the large metropolitan cities like Sydney, Melbourne, it's, you know, very much an up-and-coming area. I think like a lot of like sort of white sort of colonial countries, it has a very troubled relationship with its indigenous population. It probably sits somewhere between, I would say, the UK and the States for its like race relations in terms of the age of it, because it's not as I mean, like some of the horrors that the like white Australians inflicted on the Aboriginal population is, I think, slightly older than like the civil rights movement in the States, for example, with like Southern segregation and Martin Luther King and all that sort of stuff. But equally, I think sort of some of what they did was actually worse as well in terms of, you know, enforced separation of kids from sort of parents, that sort of stuff. So I think that there is that very probably slightly more verbalized issue with racism compared to like the UK, where we tend to like sort of publicly be very, oh no, that's terrible. But you know, we all know that I think racism is probably far more institutionalized over here. There's a lot of shall we say tacit acceptance of that kind of thing, whereas I think Australia tends to be certainly a bit more sort of, oh yeah, it's gollies, it's fine, it's not an issue, it's this, that, it's the other. But yeah, I mean, obviously none of that excuses what sort of Karen, because I must admit I did actually, because I was wondering what the hoo-ha with Karen from Finance was. So I actually Googled it, and it is basically that I think as a kid, sort of Karen from Finance had a collection of gollies, which I think, to be fair, probably quite a few sort of Australian kids would have done at the time.
I was bought them as a child, but I'm just that old.
Yeah. But also more recently actually had a gollywog tattoo.
Yes.
And, yeah, haven't made the connection, which I question, because I think, yeah,
oh, come on,
if you are even remotely sort of self-aware or educated, you're going to realise that a gollywog is not a, you know, in any way, shape, or form an acceptable or positive representation of you know, sort of.
Well, I can remember it getting taken off like the jam, you know,
yeah,
20 years ago. So I don't believe for a minute that there won't have been. I mean, you know, I don't know. Maybe Robertson's jam wasn't in Australia, whatever. But I can't believe the same sort of things just didn't happen there yet. Do you know what I mean? That's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
I found an article on The Guardian. Don't know how legit that is, but it's brought up a tweet from Karen, about this tattoo and her collection. And she said, such awful memories. I had that tattoo covered over and erased years ago. I was mortified when I eventually realised how arrogant I've been in learning about the origins and implications, and was devastated at the thought of any pain that I may have potentially caused to others. And that was February 22nd, 2021.
Right, okay. So it would appear that because I've not seen the tattoo, so it would appear that she sort of apologised, made amends a bit. Then, do we think?
Kind of. But then there's also Scarlet Adams, and she did blackface, or basically, I don't know how to explain it. Basically, she wore a sari and painted her skin darker,
right,
to represent a stereotypical Asian.
Right.
And I'm like, no.
No, just wear the outfit, love. That's fine. You know.
Yeah. But it's she was the one who done that baby murderer, whatever her name is.
Oh, Lindy Chamberlain.
Yeah.
Lindy Chamberlain.
Yeah, you got that as etc.
Oh God, I've got completely the wrong people down for these characters. I've just realised.
I don't. No, wait. That was etc.
I've got Scarlet Adams as Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah. Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah.
They look similar. Look at this image, okay? They look very, very similar. They look very similar.
Yeah. I've really struggled. See, I see Miss Fame in that picture myself, but there we are.
I see Brooklyn Heights.
Oh, Brooklyn, yeah. There's definitely a certain type. Actually, it's also a bit Joey J, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. So basically, there's a certain look for some drag queens. That's what we're saying. Back to actually Karen from Finance and what she did in the show. Dolly Parton.
No.
I can't. I can't. You don't get Dolly wrong. You just don't.
And she did.
I can't. There's literally nothing else I can say about that. It's just like, what? I mean, and I sat through Christmas on the Square. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, fucking hell. However, the glitter shark, I adored. I absolutely loved the glitter shark. And I love the fact that it came out so campy and costumey, like properly like a children's parade, and then just unfolded into this glamorous light. And I was like some kind of weird dynasty on acid. And I was like, fucking hell. Now, this is where we talk about, you don't need money to go on Drag Race. You don't make that earning fucking minimum wage somewhere in flipping burgers. You don't, right? That's where money comes into Drag Race. What did you think of it?
I only liked it when she took the hood off. That's the only time I liked it.
I thought it was just a bit costumey up until that point.
I am obsessed with sharks, mind.
And a bit cheap costumey up until that point as well. It was like the kind of thing you'd expect to see in like a pride parade or something like that. But like your local pride parade, not like your
Sydney Mardi Gras.
No. or Rio Mardi Gras or
I watched a video of Rio Mardi Gras. Weirdly, I know of it. I've never actually looked at it. Have you seen the floats in that bloody parade? Amazing. Oh my God, there was one. Oh, right, I'm gonna be on this for a second. This white tiger, and its paws were, I mean, bear in mind this white tiger was, you wouldn't get it. It's like it could eat my house, right? And its paws went like this, and it turned its head and it groaned and blinked. And then there's people just dancing in this tiger. Outrage. We've got to go. We've got to go. It's just, I just couldn't. I mean, not before I stopped going to Disney, but we've got to go. So yeah, moving on. Next, I have got etc. doing Lindy Chamberlain.
This is the other standout for me. And again, it's for, as we were talking
And
about
it
it,
shouldn't be.
it's for exactly the same reasons as the Anita's Queen jokes. It's basically, and I mean, I know it's a terrible thing to say, but
Tom's off. Bye.
Sorry, I needed light.
I'm not going to be part of this.
No, it's the awkward one. I'm leaving.
And basically, one of my favourite sort of, completely related to Drag Race, but I'm a huge fan of Tim Minchin. And one of his stand-up shows, he does, because he also talks about how his humour is quite dark. And basically, he does a literal dead baby humour joke, because basically him and his partner have not long had a baby, so they're doing the whole, you know, the worries you get as a newborn parent about, like, you know, the baby suddenly stopped crying for sort of 2 hours, and of course, like, Tim's always like, you know, should we go and check on him? And of course, his partner's just like, sort of, no, don't, because, you know, because if the baby's fine, you'll just wake it up and it'll be ruined. And let's be honest, if it's not, what can we do about it? Let's just enjoy 2 hours of peace and quiet before our world inevitably comes crashing down on us. I mean, you know, we are talking literal dead baby humor here. But basically, it's Tim Minchin saying this is why he gets on so well with his partner, because, you know, they have that similar mindset, and that's exactly why this worked for me. I think, much as Rue doesn't normally, and like Tom, I know, sort of touched on it in one of our other shows, that Rue is very much, you know, the mainstream now. He's not like the transgressive, subversive drag performer that he likes to think he was from 30, 40 years ago. And drag itself, I think, has massively moved on from where, you know, from where he kind of.
Well, I think he was, until Drag Race became popular, and it's kind of almost shot himself in the foot in some ways, because with the success has come the commercialization and the watering down of him being edgy.
But like he says, it's just like, you know, the kind of thing of like blah 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 blah, and we are so going to hell for this, and that's exactly it for me. Humor that you're laughing at and knowing you should not be laughing at it because it's in such bad taste, but it's so fucking funny.
Always my favorite.
Yeah, at this 100, and again, this I know it sounds horrible, but for me, although it's bad, although it's like bad in terms of like subject matter, it does that thing that good humor should do, which is it's not punching down, it's not, you know, taking the piss out of minorities, it's not taking the piss out of women. It is just taking an awful situation that, you know, genuinely happened to this person.
Did it?
Yeah.
Is that not the point, though, that they accused? Yeah, they made a film with Meryl Streep playing Bindi Irwin, didn't they? Cry in the Dark. And the whole point was she was accused of killing her baby on this camping trip to the outback, and claiming a dingo ate it when actually she just killed a baby.
No, I thought that.
I can't remember how it ended, though.
I'm sure it's the other way around. That you know, but basically it's like the reverse of Madeleine McCann.
Well, she actually killed her baby.
No, she didn't kill her baby, but she got accused of killing her baby.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Where you made it sound like it was like she'd actually been.
But that's what I'm saying.
She made up the story about the dingo.
But that's what I'm saying. It wasn't always just dingo had her baby. It was a or did it? Because that's the whole point. She was put on trial. I can't remember the outcome, if she was acquitted or I guess so. It's a whole film with Meryl Streep. Very good film. But yes, it was so wrong, and I think, you know, possibly if actually Lindy Chamberlain herself watches this, it's probably not going to make her laugh, perhaps. But you know, I always say that I've got a really twisted the sixth sense of humour. Whatever circumstances may surround my death, whenever it comes, I want the jokes flying within the hour. Please be very clear about this. There'll be no, oh, you can't say that, it's too soon. No. If I'm still warm, it's not too soon. Just go for it, kids, because that's what I want. Simple as that. So ergo, that's how I treat everybody else. I think Michael Jackson only been dead about an hour after I got the first joke about that, for example, you know, and I roared with laughter because, again, my sick and twisted sense of humour. And I think most people genuinely do find these things funny. I find the people that sit there extremely po-faced and go, well, it's not funny. I'm like, yeah, you've got a fucking problem. But again, my sick and twisted sense of humour. So yes, the Lindy Chamberlain thing was wrong, but hilarious. So not even sorry about it. What did you think of that one, Tom?
That's my type of humour. I'm not saying that she was good with it, but it is my sense of humour. Very dark, and me and my friend Anita say it all the time. We could sit in the theatre or like a cinema, and this really gruesome death would happen, and we'd be sat there just giggling and laughing our heads off just because they've died, and we've just thought of like something unrelated to this death. And we just sat there pissing ourselves.
I think it's the best way to be. I think the trouble is like taking everything in life too seriously. You're just going to miss so much of it. That's the thing. It's so much is going to pass you by, and you'll be like old and full of regrets. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be old or full of regrets. Thank you very much. So I've then got Diver. Now it was literally like an old Victorian diver with like the helmet and all the whole thing. I mean, I can't say it blew me away. I can't say I loved it. There was some nice attention to detail in there. But again, let's go back to the challenge. See sickening. Don't know. Excuse me. Oh, it's my chips coming back. Don't know that I got that.
I just had a thought about that. How you could change it up. Do you know where she's got like the little sweetheart neckline? Imagine it as like an actual, like, you know, the deep sea diver with the big helmet, but she takes this helmet off. She's got like this, you know, molded wig.
Yeah.
And then she unzips a jacket and then it turns into a dress, like a mustard dress, but it's like all dirty and nautical. That would have been sickening, like sea sickening.
Yeah. Or you were saying about taking the thing off. I thought what would be quite funny is if you take the helmet off and actually the hair underneath is the exact same shape. So it's like a reveal, but not. That would have been quite funny because it would have been you think she's going to reveal and this long hair is going to flow or something. No, it's literally a wig in the shape of a helmet right down to the little bits and stuff. That would have been unexpected and subversive. I think that would have worked as well. But yeah, I love this. I literally see sick. You're the puke at the bottom of the ocean when someone's heaved over the ferry. So that was that one. Next, I've got Art Simone, who did Bindi Irwin. Bindi. Didn't turn up. I'm not even sure who Bindi Irwin was until someone mentioned it was Steve Irwin's daughter. And I wasn't even aware I gathered he possibly had family, who knows? But I wasn't aware there was an actual known person who was his daughter. And I'm still not really any the wiser as to what she might be apart from something to do with flies.
She's exactly the same as her dad, but she likes all the parrots and the not dangerous the animals which aren't dangerous.
Yeah. I did once poke a stingray in the face and say that's for Steve Irwin. But anyway. Never go to SeaWorld, kids. It brings out the worst in you. I couldn't tell you if she looked like her. I couldn't tell you if she behaved like her. And then she didn't do the brilliant stuff we were talking about earlier, which is when that doesn't matter because you actually have your own character and that's what we like. So it was literally fail, fail, fail. And obviously didn't do well for her. Then she was, I've put Atlantis Green. I can't read. I think Atlantis Gran sounds better. You imagine a little old deer knitting with seaweed. But there you go. Future drag queens. There's an idea for you. But Atlantis Green. He lip synced. I should know what it looked like.
And the green flowy.
Yeah, I thought it was a kind of shit water poison ivy. That's the way I can kind of come up with it. I mean, it wasn't great. I didn't mind the face makeup as a you might actually go to a club
Oh
looking
yeah,
like
she
that.
had the webbed hands as well.
Man from Atlantis.
I'm absolutely gutted because I've been following Art Smo for like years.
Oh, okay.
And she's always been a fashion queen, and it's just always like so perfect. Like it's down to the T. Everything is perfect when she does drag.
Mm.
And to know that, spoiler alert, she goes home. But to know that she's gone home, I'm gutted because I know what she can bring to Drag Race. Like every outfit that she's probably brought is like campy but perfect in every way.
Now, the thing for me with this is, she in her interview said, or before or whatever, in the Untucked area, whatever it was, on their lovely Chesterfield sofas, but somewhere she said, "I'm going to bring it." That's not. But what she did isn't bringing it. What she did is kind of just stand there and vaguely flap about a bit. I expected more from her lip sync based on everything else I'd seen about her so far, and then I was really, what's the right word? Disappointed, I think, with her reaction to going off. I've never seen a queen like so upset to be booted off before.
I think
and then
it's because like I've obviously following her for ages. She had been building up to this Drag Race coming to Australia for years. She's been to like every drag con there's been, and to be kicked out on the second episode, I think it did really, really hurt her because she was like, she prepared and she was in her head.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna win this," and then to get everything snatched away from you.
Yeah.
In the Snatch game and on stage. But yeah, I think that's why she was so upset, because she knew in her head that she was going to go far.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought she didn't turn out the lip sync for me. I don't know. I mean, it was harsh because the Bindi wasn't great. I didn't mind the runway. Wasn't standout particularly, but it wasn't bad by any stretch. And again, I just think she said she's going to bring it to the lip sync, and then kind of, did it my standard, and I'm not the drag queen they are. I'm a sort of amateur panto boy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but I could probably have beat her in that lip sync. Do you know what I mean? So I just think defeated herself. I hate the phrase. What I think it just gets thrown about too easily. But genuinely, this is one who got in her own head. I think, and it's such a shame because we were both saying we were disappointed she went because we liked her, off of like in the interviews and in the sort of in between bits and whatever else. And she, every time she talks, genuinely, I do hear Kath and Kim. I don't know what part of Australia they base those characters on, but it's clearly where Art Simone's from. If you shut your eyes and listen, it's just Jane Turner.
I think Kath and Kim are basically meant to be Adelaide.
Are they?
Which is like, so that's like Adelaide, Melbourne,
right?
Southern Australia.
Yeah.
Come
on. I'll be off. No disturbing. Maxi Shield I had next. Oh, funnily enough, who did Magda Zabansky, except she didn't do, and this is my beef, right? This is my beef now. Don't say you're doing the actress and then do just one of their characters. So she claimed to do Magda Zabansky. What she didn't do Magda Zabansky, she did Lynn from Lynn and Carmel, which is a sketch from Big Girls Blouse, which was the sketch show from Magda Zabansky, Jane Turner, and Gina Riley, who were the three main stars then of Kath and Kim. In fact, Kath and Kim started as one of the sketches in Big Girls Blouse. Don't know that it's ever been shown over here, but I've got the full set on DVD.
I used to watch it.
Oh, it has been. Okay, brilliant. But I adore it. There's some absolute class sketches in there. And I think if you wanted, because I appreciate like me, Maxie is sort of shorter and wider, as was Magda Zabansky. Magda's lost a ton of weight, to be fair, but Magda was also in Farscape. She was Furlough, so there were other richer characters for Snatch Game that Magda does. So if Big Girl's Blouse was what he was hung up on because he thought he could wear Magda's skin in those, you know, for want of a better, that sounds horrible now, I've said it out loud. But you know, there's one they do where it's these rich wives of husbands in prison, and they're really loud and obnoxious, and basically they act up on camera, and then when they think the camera's off, the camera hasn't gone off, and they suddenly start talking about all these illegal activities they're doing. There's gold in that. There's another. Now this is the other thing. I don't know that Magda did it. I think it was just Gina and Jane, but they've got characters in Big Girls Blouse where they doing drag queens. Do that because it's a drag queen doing a woman doing a drag queen in a send up. Christ, the comedy potential in that was enormous. But she went for, and she, to be fair, if you look up Lynn and Carmel, Big Girls Blouse, you'll see the picture, and the look was flawless, and the characterization was flawless. But there are a load of lines, I showed you the sketch, there are a load of lines that that character has that unless they were on the cutting room floor, she didn't do. So it was just, apart from the fact that she got the makeup right, the wig right, and the dress spot on, just misfired on every level. And I was just thinking, oh my God, she could have do Sharon from Kath and Kim, because Sharon is a character you could really do loads with in the send up. Just everything about it failed when there was so much potential in so many directions based on the choices that were made. So I've talked about that for 15 minutes probably. Tom, what did you think of this one? Did you know?
I didn't know who it was.
No.
I didn't know who it was.
This will be no good for our 16 viewers. Well, actually, most of them probably are my friends on Facebook. But Tom, if you go on my Facebook from yesterday, I posted the sketch. Okay. You can find it on there and you can watch it, and you'll see what I mean about there was actually so much you could have mined out of the chosen character. But again, the Big Girls Blouse was a comedy sketch show. You know what would have been brilliant? If she'd done Magda's character from Patty Stacker. Hello, swingers. They're another hilarious. I just want to watch those now because they're just so good. And then for the white pearly outfits for the runway, Tom doesn't like it. Tom's saying no. I just thought reminded me of an old person that I couldn't put my finger on, but someone like Danny LaRue or someone like that.
Your grandmother, as in generally, you're not.
Yeah, not specifically.
Yeah,
I say neither of mine look like that. I can promise you, absolutely promise you. Oh, I should tell you what she did. She did look like my Auntie Madge, my granddad's sister. That's what she reminded me of. I mean, Auntie Madge didn't go around dressed in like this weird drag outfit, but there was just something about the silhouette and the shape. That was Auntie Madge, because she had hair that just came round like a mane, big glasses from underneath, proper Deirdre glasses. My Auntie Madge was hilarious. But anyway.
This reminds me of Dame. Oh, what's her name?
Shirley
she used to be on. No, it was like a it was like a quiz show, and she used to
Dame Edna.
Present it. Yeah, that's the one.
Dame Edna Everage.
Yeah.
Well, that could work because Dame Edna Everage is Australian. But if she was trying to go Dame Edna, she hadn't gone far enough for me. Again, as a future challenge, if they've all got to do their own Dame Edna, that would be quite something to see. Especially as Alpha, probably going to be fucking awful. But yeah, I mean, it was just it was a bit pub drag queen from the 90s. You know, when I first started going out on the scene, the kind of drag queens we had in, it was always a bit. Every once in a while, you'd get a really good drag queen, or you'd have to go into London and get like Dave Lynn or one of the really good ones. But the ones that generally did like the home counties where I lived, I remember one called Titty La Camp. Fabulous on stage, but she had some costume changes. And the only way to get from the stage to backstage was you more or less had to titter through the audience. So when she kind of scattered past me, holding her tits, tottering around on her heels, and was up to there on me, and I'm not tall, as Tom knows, I was like, oh, it's like a hobbit. It's like a hobbit in a dress. And it used to shatter the illusion slightly, but it would always be like, oh God, what's the drag this week? And you'd have that kind of about the drag act, because everyone would, and this is a ridiculous thing, you'd all be like, but then we'd all go and we'd all like be ever so British and polite and clap and cheer and whoop when they were on. And then the following night, go, well, that fucking drag act was awful. Oh God, I'm not coming next week. Do you know what I mean? But that was like, that was Shirley's Temple in Luton in the 90s. That was how it was. And this outfit to me belonged in that mindset and that kind of whole thing. So like we'd have all stood there and gone, oh yeah, no, marvellous. The following night we'd all been there with our vodka going, she's fucking stayed. She got spent money on that dress. And that's what it said to me. It just said Golden Cross on a Tuesday.
A cheap drag queen, in other words.
Pretty much, yeah. it didn't scream. And let's face it, season 1 of America's Drag Race needn't have been the cream of the crop of American drag, because it meant nothing. No, they didn't. It wasn't even going to be a success. Was anyone going to watch? Who knew? By the time you got to season 1 UK, really, they had a bit of a weird mixed bag. I think intentionally, but ultimately, not being funny, you had Bagger, you had the Vivian. You had the ones who made it near the end, who are names and known. Davina De Campo, yeah. So I mean, that weird cat thing, but it was, you know what I mean. So you had drag celebrity, if you like, drag royalty. I don't know the Australian drag scene at all, but the quality of the drag coming, regardless of where the queens are coming from, I wouldn't expect to be cheap pub drag.
That's how I found out Simone, is because I think she's well known in the drag community.
Yeah.
And she's worked for Benefit, the the makeup brand with the eyebrows and stuff.
Yeah.
She did a big Pride campaign for them as well, but no one seems to know who she is.
Bless her. Well, they will now. I think she'll go on to great things. And whenever they get round to an Australian All-Stars, I'm sure she'll be a part of it. Or this international All-Stars. Have they got any of the Aussies in that? Do we know?
Probably not.
No, I think it's probably too late for that, wouldn't it? So then we get, now I wrote these back the wrong, all arse about face in my book, so I've just got to try and Scarlet Adams, who did Jennifer Coolidge, who did Coral Reef. Now this comes back to my beef that I think I got sidetracked on last character. Oh no, I mentioned it earlier. So don't say you're being Jennifer Coolidge and then just be her character from Two Broke Girls. Either be Jennifer Coolidge or be whatever that character's name is that I do not know. Yeah. She should have been
Stifler's mum. She should have been Jennifer Coolidge in Cinderella Story, because that's the funniest character that I feel like she's done. Either that or on Legally Blonde.
Yeah, her Legally Blonde character. There's loads of mileage in that. I mean, to be fair, the one I think she was going for with the because it's the Russian hookery kind of character, which is the Two Broke Girls, which I've seen on and off across its seasons. But based on the voice she was doing, I think that's where she was going. But that's not Jennifer Coolidge. She doesn't sit at home and talk in that voice. That is, I can't remember the character's name for the life of me. But this is what, and Elliot Ortiz did it. Oh, I'm going to be Rue McClanahan. No, you were clearly Blanche Devereaux from the Golden Girls. That is not what Rue McClanahan as a person was like. What you were doing was being, so don't.
But you weren't even being a good.
Well, she wasn't even being a good Blanche Devereaux, let's be honest. But that's what she was aiming for. That was her pitch.
There's so many girls that have done this on Snatch games. Down Under is just one of them. But loads of them said they were going to do this actor, but they did their characters, not their actors. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's the same. Like, so if you're gonna like, I can't remember. Did Dayla call herself Maggie Smith? Because she wasn't Maggie Smith. Because she
No, I
wasn't
think she actually called
self
herself
whatever the
Clarence
character.
or
Yeah, I
something.
can't remember, to be honest.
Lady something, isn't it? Something like that.
What lady? Not Lady Chatterley. That's something entirely different. But yeah, whatever it is. But again, like, so if you know, if you're doing Maggie Smith, well, you can be her. And then for your next question, you can come up as McGonagall. And then, do you know what I mean? So yes, if you're going to be the actress, be all of their known characters. If
But
it,
you just need to have seen like an interview with Graham McCrum or like Graham Norton does Maggie Smith and makes it like gets the accent now, because it's basically he's telling some anecdotes about theatre days when him and Maggie are in there, and it's okay, granted it's like a 3-second one-liner from Maggie, but that's an example of how you would do the actor. Is you'd basically look at their you consider how they are in interviews, how they come across, their body language, their accent, their mannerisms, and that's what you embody. Or you do like sort of Dayla did, which is basically, yes, I'm essentially going to be that character rather than that person.
yeah. But it's a massive difference, and I'm sure it doesn't fucking matter, but it winds me up. Perhaps it's because I'm an actor, and that's why it winds me up, because I kind of know the difference. I don't know, but just what I wouldn't want to do. Okay, so let's give it like a parallel. I wouldn't want someone going on Snatch Game saying they were going to be me and being Dolly from Sinbad, because I'm not Dolly from Sinbad. I played Dolly in Sinbad for one Christmas for 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? So to go on and say, yeah, I'm going to be Paul Robinson, and then actually turn up in my Dolly outfit with the blue hair and all the rest of it. Oh, it's a good chance to get Marina out there, Tom. But you know what I mean? So I just think it's just unprofessional. I don't like it. I probably should just do what Elsa suggests and let it go. Tom, what did you think to Jennifer Coolidge?
It's too skinny to be Jennifer.
She's curvy. She's bulky. Add yourself out. Yeah.
The cheeks and the lips. You just gotta get that right. But I didn't get Jennifer Coolidge from whatever they did.
No, not in the slightest. And then I've got down here, has her, and I might have the runway for these the runway around as well. I'm not sure. I've got Coral Reef, the red.
Oh, the big, like.
Was it that one?
Yeah, it reminds me of Bianca Del Rio's glitter look when she had that big fire thing. Yeah,
absolutely. I got Coral Reef the minute she came around the corner. To be fair, the first thing I said was it's coral. I didn't necessarily get I think she was specifically voiceovers something like the barrier reef or blah blah blah. I didn't necessarily get that, and I know she had like a bit of a conservation message built in there, because the barrier reef is receding, and that's a massive impact on Australia's ecology and what have you. But yeah, I certainly didn't get the ecology message. Got coral straight away. Didn't hate it, but I've not seen much on this that I've loved so far. Nothing's taken my breath away yet. So finally, and we have been going for like an hour. We're going for longer than the show. Brilliant. Electra Shock, who did Catherine O'Hara, but through gritted teeth, she didn't do Catherine O'Hara. She did her character from Schitt's Creek,
Moira Rose.
I don't even watch Schitt's Creek, and I knew. Now, granted, she threw in a couple of Kevins, because obviously Catherine O'Hara was Kevin's mum in Home Alone. Paul didn't know this. I have to explain that one. And he's never watched Home Alone. He has no. It's literally, I live with the Grinch. I live with the fucking Grinch. And so
this is the point where I escape.
But I have to defer to you, because I know shit all. I don't watch Schitt's Creek, so you've got to tell me if this was any good. But do lean in case you might.
The look was the I mean, again, I think if you're doing, obviously, I'm not going to rehash everything that sort of Paul said with regard to, are you doing the character or are you doing the actor? Because that applies here as well. But basically, if you're going to do Moira Rose, there is so much you could do with that character. I mean, for starters, you know, the character itself is visually amazing. You know, this is a character who is like high fashion. It's all about the monochrome. It's black, it's white, it's high contrast, it's you know, wigs galore. Yeah, and this is just Moira. As a drag queen, there is so much more you could have done with that. And again, Catherine O'Hara's interpretation of Moira is with the absolutely bizarre pronunciation of words and phrases, and the complete, almost non sequitur reaction she has to stuff. So like she'll completely freak out about something that's absolutely innocuous. But take like, if we like take the example, you know, sort of Lindy Chamberlain, of like, you know, a situation of, oh my god, my baby just been snatched by a dingo, she'd take that in her stride and wouldn't react at all. Moira is this weird, like not quite in touch with reality. So I don't think that Electra basically captured any of that.
I'm going to mildly correct myself here, I think she mishmashed lots of different Catherine O'Hara bits. Because it's just occurred to me as you were talking, Catherine O'Hara was in Beetlejuice as the New York mum who moves into the house. And that, I found a little gif. Oh, well, my phone's gone off. I've got nothing. Is it me, or is that kind of what Electra's outfit was? No. Yeah.
Moira Rose is like,
that's a clip of Catherine O'Hara in Beetlejuice.
Moira Rose is basically that, but with a different hairstyle.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I just wondered if she was actually merging lots of different characters she played. So she got the dress on from the look from Beetlejuice, the affectation from Schitt's Creek, and then threw in the Kevins to Home Alone, and that's her big three roles, if you will. Even though she's done loads more, Catherine O'Hara is wonderful.
I think Electra got the voice down,
right,
and that's it. Because when you think of Home Alone as well, she doesn't shout Kevin. She's like, it's like quick, and then she faints.
Yeah,
I feel like she could have been like Kevin, and then like slapped down on the floor or something.
Just face planted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know the Schitt's Creek character. I only know it from memes that other people post on Facebook. So I've got no real judge or comparison for it, to be fair.
But I think it largely boils down to the criticism we always level at a lot of Snatch Game lessons, which is basically decide, are you doing the person or are you doing the character?
How far are you going to take it?
Yeah, and you know, it's fine to do either, but decide what you're going to do. And as gets so often told by Rue and everyone else to a lot of the queens, is lean into it. You know, take it as far as it will go. Don't hold back. You know, you could take Moira Rose. In fact, I think with Catherine O'Hara, because she is basically very much known predominantly, I think, as a comedy actor. I think you kind of have to go down the character route with her, because obviously she does such different character types that I think it's very difficult to actually do Catherine O'Hara, because Catherine O'Hara is not Moira Rose. You know, as any good sort of actor, it's basically, I don't know what Catherine O'Hara would be like as a human being. That sounds really weird, but as not in a performance.
At home with Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah. You know, whereas, you know, we know what Ian McKellen's like, for example, and it's kind of the weird thing where Ian McKellen, for the most part, tends to bring elements of himself into his roles to varying degrees. Not quite as bad as, you know, Sean Connery, where basically it's Sean Connery playing Sean Connery as Sean Connery. As a 14th century Spanish conquistador with an bizarrely weird Scottish accent for some reason.
There can be only one.
Or indeed Eddie Murphy, to bring it slightly more forward, again playing Eddie Murphy in an Eddie Murphy movie. It's Catherine is a stunningly talented comedy actor who has a lot of like really solid, like I think like comedy sensibilities and timings, which basically means I think you're doing a tough challenge by doing someone like Catherine as well, regardless of the character. Because I think Moira is herself essentially like almost like a caricature of a certain type of drag queen to me. That very sort of fashion, doesn't quite get how the real world works sort of thing, with the weird pronunciation. It's a swing and a miss. It's an absolute huge swing and a miss, as it so often is with this type of choice.
You loving it, Tom? Hating it? Where were you at?
Again, meh.
And all I've got written down for, and I think I can vaguely remember this, is this foamy. As in, I like to foam.
I can't remember it. Oh, yeah, basic.
Yeah, incredibly basic. It was like, I don't know. I wouldn't even say as far as going to Hobbycraft. I think it was more of went to Home Bargains and picked up some of the packaging off the floor and crafted it.
It was slightly cheaper than the Mother of Pearls look that whoever did that.
Yeah, that was Maxi, wasn't it? So it was I just no, not really. So I mean, I got to admit, I'd read online that apparently this is like the worst Snatch game in any episode ever. I wouldn't say that, because I had 3 for sure out loud belly laughs. There have been many a Snatch game where I've just sat there going, it's nowhere near the worst. My God, is it nowhere near the best either, But it's weird. We've said this before. Snatch Game has this absolutely undeserved reputation for, oh my God, it's Snatch Game. It's generally shit. It is generally fucking shit. And I think we've got to stop worshipping Snatch Game. We've got to stop making Snatch Game such a thing and put Snatch Game in its place, which is probably near the bottom of the pile.
I did like Snatch Game of Love, that was like then on All Stars though. That was kind of a twist on it, and I did like that version.
Do something different, yeah, absolutely. I've got to admit that didn't quite work for me, but I like the fact that they tried to do something else. Because they kind of mixed what we'd call blind date with what we'd call blankety blank. But it does surprise me they don't call the UK one blankety blank. But anyway, I was just thinking about this. So I know we've got one of our longest videos ever, but I think it's, while we're here, worth talking about, Tom, who would you do on Snatch Game?
So last year, the year that we won't mention because so much shit went wrong, but I was meant to be on a drag race last year, which is Jolene Dover's Drag Race, and it didn't end up happening. But I was going to do, because it's my all-time favorite show, was Shanessa Jenkins or Uncle Bryn.
Obviously. So, okay, so I can see you doing either. To be honest, I can see you doing either. I can see you doing them both really well. If I was going to give you any advice, I would say lean into Nessa, just because I think you've got slightly more quick, punchy comedy potential. Because Bryn, it's all about those long-winded stories.
Yeah.
And if the situation isn't giving you those, and it's a bit what you're going to get, I think with Nessa, you very quickly got the whole, you just got to have a raft of bloody shit 80s rock stars in your head that she's been on tour with. As long as you've memorized Whitesnake and Iron Maiden, you know what I mean? So I think you've just got slightly more potential for the punchiness. But I can see you nailing both of them, to be fair, completely and utterly. Oh, who would you do? Not that you ever go on stage or perform or anything, but...
I think that pretty much answers my question. I wouldn't, because I don't have performing bone in my body. So I know, unlike a lot of Snatch Game performers, that I would be on a high road to nothing with whoever I went for.
Knowing your limits, there you are. There's the lesson to take away, kids.
Saying that, it'd be Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, I can see that. And I can also see that being quite good for drag, to be fair. I can see that completely working. I was thinking about this. Who would I do? Like I said earlier, I couldn't do Kylie because I don't think it's... I would fall into the trap with Kylie. I wouldn't know where to take it to mirror image her and make her nasty. I think I could do Crazy Madonna. I think I absolutely could do that. But I think ultimately I'd probably go with a Disney. And I think I would have to go fucking batshit crazy Cruella, but still be wearing the puppies like they were alive.
Oh, I could see myself doing Ursula actually as well.
Yeah. And again, I think Ursula's got great potential. Actually, to be fair, most of the female Disney villains do.
Maleficent, best.
Yeah.
But that would be like so iconic. The evil
yeah.
queen.
Yeah.
The old little bitty evil queen.
Yes, I mean that's that. If you do Evil Queen, that's what you do. You do the transformation. So you try and get Rue to like eat the apple and shit like that. So if we can spitball that in like 3 minutes, you're telling me these queens can't come up with something better? Judging all of you. So that's it. Thanks for sitting through this epic movie review of Drag Race Down Under episode 2.
It's a major difference to what we had like last week, where it was 4 minutes.
4 minutes, and we didn't even get onto that because my roof blew away. I suppose this is also our first chance to probably talk about the Queen. So bumper edition, kind of covering that off, I guess. I did watch the Coming Next Time, but I cannot remember what the hell it was for the life of me. They appear to be dressed like Baywatch people.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the mini challenge is a Baywatch challenge, which is weird because although Australia is known for its beaches surfing sharks, did I mention I'm obsessed with sharks? And Shark Week, I'm in heaven. I haven't watched it since he's lived here yet, but oh, you wait. And then I did. What did I make you sit through? How many heads did the shark have?
Oh, three-headed shark. I've seen that.
I'm working my way through them. I love them. And Sharknado and all those really shit films. I fucking love them.
But when the shark versus alligator, that one is
Sharktopus versus Mega something. The Meg is awesome, and Jason Statham. So do watch the Meg, like the Meg. Hi. He used to be by now. Don't watch Drag Race, watch Sharks. Bye.
I won't be interested in this Drag Race anymore because art's not in it. But yeah,
that's fair.
I'm gonna watch it, but I can't see myself being like, oh my god, wow.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like first season of US Drag Race.
Yeah,
all over again.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't. I thought this. There are certain times where it appears, and it might just be a difference in how they make things for Australian telly, but it's almost like it's got season 1 filter on at points.
Only on Brew though. I've noticed that.
Wow.
Like when he's as his male self.
Yeah.
Sitting on the judges panel, I'm like, you're looking a bit glowy, love. You okay? You seem to be like haloing randomly.
That's the green screen when he's not there.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Right,
you've got to watch out for that. You have to watch out for that.
Challenge this week to work out across this season, did Rue actually go to Australia?
The last episode is going to be him like, I'm actually here, surprise.
Yeah. They've lifted quarantine. I was allowed.
One single episode I filmed. Yes.
We shall see. Right, until next time.